Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started and start going over the quadratics test review. When you look at problem number 1, we're wanting to know what transformations are happening. First of all, because of that negative, is there a reflection? Yes. So make sure you put yes, reflection. That plus 7, what does that plus 7 do? Yes. Left 7. And what does that plus 4 do? Up 4. Now, because the number up in front is a 3, is that a vertical stretch or vertical compression? A vertical stretch by 3. So these are the things that you're going to have to know. Now, they're going to give you an equation, and then they're going to have multiple choice. What is happening? And they'll give you 4 different options. So, number 2, reflection. And oh, you're right. Sorry. Now, reflection. And that minus 2 moves?
Right 2.
Right 2.
Up 7.
Right 2. Up 7.
Vertical stretch by 5.
And a vertical stretch by 5. And I put 7. It's by 5. So make sure that you're just going over it so you can be ready for the examen. Number 3.
No reflection.
No reflection.
Down 6.
Left 1. Down 6.
Vertical compressed by 1/3.
And a vertical compression by 1/3. Now keep in mind, it's a video. You pause it as much as you want. So, for number 1, axis of symmetry. What is the formula for axis of symmetry?
X equals negative b over 2a.
Very good. X equals negative b over 2a. So when we look at this problem, you should know who A, B, and C are. Even though we don't need C, let's go ahead and identify. A is,
2,
B is,
4,
and C is
7.
7. So we plug back into the formula. Negative 4, 2 times 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. And negative 4 divided by 4. So who's your axis of symmetry? X equals a negative 1. Questions? Monday. Problem number 2. If you were here for 5.4, if not, you should have seen the video already.
This is gonna be
You have to label what on top.
H and K.
Your
And
vertex.
H and K plus
C. Very good. So your vertex is HK. Your focus is H, and this is K plus C. Now remember, anything that deals with the focus and that, the first thing you need to figure out is the value of C. So the only C that's happening is right there, so I have to set up K plus C is equal to 4. But do I know who my K is?
Yes.
K is 7, so 7 plus C is equal to 4.
subtract 7.
Subtract 7, subtract 7, C is a negative 3. Now that I know that C is a negative 3, I have to plug it into the equation, which was this. So what is my C?
Negative 3.
So I substitute the C with a negative 3, x squared, and what is that?
Negative 12x squared.
Very good.
And then, Miss, don't we put the...
Isn't there more to that equation?
Yeah.
Because the vertex isn't 0.
Oh my gosh, you're right. So sorry.
This, Miss?
Wait, it's not. Oh, whatever.
So
Your teacher is dumb.
it's already recording, thanks.
No, Alio.
All right, the formula that you were supposed to plug into, sorry, because it is not in the other place. It was this one. It was not in the vertex. It's an actual HK one. So I have y equals 1 over 4 times negative 3. X minus, who's your h? 4 squared plus 7. And then you just need to multiply the bottom. So y equals negative 1 over 12.
Parentheses, x minus 4, parentheses, squared plus 7. John, I can't ever.
So that is your final answer. So let's try, for me, to do number 3 without making a mistake. This is H, this is K, this is H, and this is K plus C. First mission is to figure out who C is. So I know that K plus C is 4. And what is K? 2. What do I do there? Subtract 2, so C is 2. So we go ahead and plug it into the equation. Y equals the right equation, yes. That one, x minus, who's my H? 9. And plus 2.
And which is going to give you y equals 1h parentheses x minus 9 parentheses squared plus 2.
Yes. So check your answers. Continuing. For problems 4 and 5, the formula, because the way the formula looks, your vertex is at 0, 0. So this is the only formula that you need to worry about for these two problems. So we're trying to figure out, how do you get that denominator? 4 times what gives you 32?
8.
It has to be a negative 8. Because it's a negative, so we need a negative 8. So knowing that, the formula for the focus is 0, comma C. So my focus will be 0, comma
8.
negative 8. The formula for the directrix is y equals negative C, which tells me my answer would be y equals positive 8. So these are your two answers for that problem. So always ask yourself in these questions, what number is going to give me, what times 4 will give me my problem in the bottom? So to get a 24, my C has to be who? 6. So if C is 6, if I plug it in there, that's going to give me that positive 24 I'm looking for. So focus, 0, comma 6, and directrix, y equals negative 6. Because it's negative C, your C is 6. Are we good? Now this one goes back to 5.1. In order for you to figure out what the standard form is, you have to write this out twice. X minus 1, x minus 1 plus 3. You do have to do FOIL there. So what is x minus x times x?
X squared. X squared.
X squared. X times negative 1. Negative 1x or negative x. Negative 1 times x. Negative 1x again. And what's a negative 1 times a negative 1? A positive 1. Please don't forget we still have that 2 in the front and that plus 3 at the end. Who can I combine from that parentheses?
Negative 1 and negative 1x.
Which becomes? Negative 2x plus 1 plus 3. What am I supposed to do with that 2 up in the front?
You're supposed to multiply everything you have in the parentheses.
Very good. Distribute that 2 to everything. What's 2 times x squared?
2x squared.
2 times a negative 2x.
Negative 4.
Negative 4x. And 2 times 1?
1. Positive 1.
It's a positive 2.
1.
And don't forget to bring down that plus 3. So our final answer would be y equals 2x squared minus 4x, 2 plus 3, 5. Next one, same thing, negative x minus 2 plus 5. So we need to take the FOIL, distribute the middle two terms, x times x, x squared, x times negative 2, negative 2x, negative 2 times x, and negative 2 times a negative 2. Positive 4. Don't forget to put that negative and that plus 5 at the end. Now, who can I combine?
Negative 2x and negative 2x.
Which gives me?
Negative 4x.
But now I have a negative up in the front. So what do I need to do with that negative? Everything. Everything inside gets multiplied by it, so it changes its signs. But don't forget, you still have that plus 5 at the end. So for the final answer, y equals negative x squared plus 4x plus 1. Because it's a negative 4, and then a plus 5, so it becomes a positive 1. So from here, we're going to skip to number 11. So number 11, 50x squared minus 8. So it's a little weird, but both numbers are divisible by 2. So if I factor out a 2 from 50, 25x squared, and 8 divided by 2, 4. Now look at 25 and 4. We've talked about special cases where you have numbers that you could take the square root of both. Can you take the square root of 25?
Yes.
Can you take the square root of 4?
Yes.
Yes. So when you write the final answer, what is the square root of 25? 5x and 5x. And what's the square root of 4? 2 and 2, but one's a positive and one's a negative. So it is the difference of perfect squares. Now it happens that there's a number up in the front, but it's the same thing as when we didn't have a number. No, that's it. This one, they're just going to ask you to factor completely. All the other ones we will solve.
Why is one of them?
Yeah, that's the final answer for this one. You do not have to set it equal to 0. So looking at 12, my last number was 16. Middle number is 8. 1 16, 2 8, and 4 times 4. Since the last one is negative and the middle one is, since the last one is positive, they both have to be positives or both negatives. Both negatives because your middle one is negative. So negative 1, negative 16, negative 4, negative 8, negative 4, negative 4, whatever. Who gives you the negative 8? The last two. So I have x minus 4 and x minus 4. So these here are your factors, but if they ask you for solutions, x minus 4 is equal to 0. Do I have to do it twice?
No.
It's the same answer. So x is equal to 4. Moving on to number 13. Now number 13 is what we learned after the simple problems because there is a number up in the front. What do I have to do with this number up in front?
You have to multiply it by the negative 6.
Very good. So 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. My middle number continues to be a negative 1. So factors of 12. 1, 12, 2, 6, and 3, and 4. Since it's a negative 12, one positive, one negative, who has to be the negative? The larger number, because your middle number keeps the sign of your larger number. So who gives me a negative 1?
3 and 4.
The 3 and the 4. X plus 3 and x minus 4. But because I multiplied by 2, now I have to divide by 2 and divide by 2. Can 3 be divided by 2?
No, sir.
So
3x plus
2x plus 3. Your denominator is the one that comes to the front. Can 4 be divided by 2? So we have x minus 2. These are 2 of my factors, but what am I really still supposed to do?
Equal to 0.
So 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. Subtract 3, subtract 3. 2x equals a negative 3. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And that should be a minus. X equals a negative 3 over 2. And for the x minus 2, it is obvious it's in positive 2. Factors of negative 20 that add up to a positive 1. 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. It's a negative 20. My 1 is positive, so who's negative? The smaller ones. You want your larger factors to be positive like your middle number. So who gives you a positive 1?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. X minus 4 and x plus 5. These are my factors and you're done. But I still have to set them equal to 0. So x is 4 and a negative 5. Number 15. What are my factors for 6? 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. But who's going to add up to a 7? 1 and 6. So x plus 1 and x plus 6. And you know what to do from there, right? Now, this one was a pretty big one. Negative 320. What are my factors of negative 320?
340.
It was it 340 or 320?
340.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so 340. Make that a 40. So my factors that would give me a negative 340 and add up to, and I still put a 20. I don't know why. And the negative 3 would be 17 and 20. Now, when you look at 17 and 20, who has to be your negative and who has to be your positive?
The 17 has to be your negative. No, the 20 has to be
Your 20 has to be the negative. So I end up with x plus 17 and x minus 20. But here they're trying to figure out who is x to make this thing true. And we're talking about the area of a rectangle. Of a rectangle. So I have to set each one equal to 0. And I get that this is a negative 17 and this is a positive 20. But, one more thing. Only one of them could be your answer. We're talking about area, we're talking about distance. Can the distance of that rectangle, because if you look at it, they say this is x. Could this be a negative 17?
No.
So, who is my only official right answer?
20.
This is the only one that you could say is your answer. Only that one.
Wait, why again?
Because distance can only be positive. 17 is negative, so we can't use it. Are we good? Moving on to number 17. Now for 17, first thing we had to do was distribute FOIL, x times x, x squared, x times the negative 4, 2 times x, and 2 times the negative 4, negative 8. We combine those two middle terms. What does it give us? Negative 2x minus 8. What do we do with that 72? Minus it. Move it to the other side because we need everything on one side. So x squared minus 2x minus 80. Now we could go ahead and work this out. Factors of a negative 80 that add up to a negative 2. And they should be 8 and 10. Negative the 10. So that gives you a negative 2. So x plus 8 and x minus 10. But when you set them equal to 0, this becomes negative 8. And this here becomes a positive 10. But which one? Because we're again talking about the area. Only this guy is a possible answer. The 10. Are we good?